Hello everyone and welcome back to the semifinals of the knockouts of the Chessable Masters. It's Praggnanandhaa versus Anish Giri. This is the second match that we are going to show. We've seen one game from the Magnus Ding match, but we're also gonna return to that one. But first we need to discuss this one as it's well, super important for the tournament standings. It's the second game of their match. First game ended in a draw, and this one is really a crazy one. So you guys will enjoy it. Let's dive straight into it. Praggo has the white pieces and he opens with d4. We have knight to f6, c4, g6, knight to c3, and now we have d5 going for the Gruenfeld defense, and it's the standard line. C captures knight, captures e4, knight captures on c3, b captures, and bishop to g7, and now bishop to c4. This is all main stuff, very sharp, and for those of you who don't know, Praggo is playing this in 2 a.m. in the morning, and as they said on Twitter, he has school at 8:45, so that's very impressive. So here c5, again the main line. That's basically the idea behind the Gruenfeld. In the main line, we want to challenge this d4 square, and we want to try and get white to advance this pawn to d5. Of course, white will never do this. Of course, sometimes white will do this, but it has to be a specific line, and of course we are trying to undermine the position as much as possible, because white has this huge center and we want to challenge it. So here, knight to e2, we have castles by Anish, and now castles by Praggo. Knight to c6, again putting more pressure on that d4 square, and bishop to e3, Praggo just defends. And now standard ideas here are bishop to g4 and queen to c7. These would be the main moves what black plays here, but Anish plays b6. So now he's ready to fianchetto his light square bishop, and this is quite a rare move. Praggo says, all right, this is rare, but I know how to play this, and he strikes with h4. So now he wants to go h5 and then either open up the h file. Maybe you're going to play g3, king g2, put the rook on h1, then try some sort of an attack, or you will even advance the pawn all the way to h6 to hinder black's dark square bishop. So here we have e6, threatening to pick up the pawn, h5 by Praggo, and queen to h4 now. And the position has been reached in quite a few games, maybe, 10 top-level games. Wang Hao had it against MVL, Ivanchuk had it against the Grishuk, Dubov had it against Svidler, and in all of those games, h captures on g6 was played. However, here Praggo prepared queen to c1, or maybe he didn't prepare, maybe he just played it over the board, as it's a very interesting move. What does it do? And of course, it is now as of move 13 that we have a completely new game. Well, the bishop is now guarded by the queen, so a move like bishop to g5 could almost trap Anish's queen. Let's say Anish continues development, bishop to b7 or something. Bishop to g5, what can you play? It doesn't really matter what you capture. Your queen will get trapped. For example, queen captures on h5, knight g3, and now after queen to g4, bishop to e2. There's not all that much you can do here. So instead, after queen to c1, Anish says, all right, it's a very interesting move, but it just blunders the pawn, doesn't it? The e4 pawn is free for grabs. So first, c captures on d4, attacking the bishop, and once Praggo recaptures, just queen captures on e4. And okay, Anish says, I'm up a pawn, I'm, living the good life. What do you have here? So rook to d1 by Praggo, and now knight to a5, going after the light square bishop, and also trying to get this bishop to b7 move in to put pressure on g2. So first, knight c3, attacking the queen, and now queen back all the way to b7. You kind of want to play queen to c6 and get the bishop to b7, but then the queen can easily be attacked. So here, queen back all the way to b7. Now comes the bishop back to e2. Here, Praggo wants to put the bishop on f3. Bishop to d7, ready to counter the bishop with bishop to c6, and now pawn all the way to h6. Bishop to h8, and now bishop to f3, attacking the queen. So you have to block this, otherwise you're going to lose material. Bishop to c6, and now d5. So every move, very forcing ideas by young Praggo, challenging the bishop here, and after e captures on d5, he even plays bishop to d4. Now he wants to eliminate the dark square bishop, and then, the black king will not have a lot of squares. There will be a lot of dark square weaknesses, and Praggo will, of course, try to use this to his advantage. So here we have rook 8 to d8, and now, Anish is just up 2 pawns. He says, where is your compensation? Sure, it's a nice position, but is it really compensation? Pragos plays bishop captures on h8, king captures, and now knight captures on d5, grabbing the pawn, but not really, because after bishop captures on d5, there's queen to d2. Incredible stuff here. Now, how are you playing this? Your bishop is attacked. For the moment, you're up a piece, but if you try and save this by playing bishop captures on f3, you just get checkmated, as we cannot forget the pawn is covering the g7 square. After the queen is captured, this will be checkmate. So after this queen to d2 move, we have queen to d7 by Anish. Queen to c7 might be a bit more precise, covering the c3 square, but this is rapid chess. So here we have queen to c3 with check, f6 blocking, and now rook captures on d5. And now, how do you play this? Here, rook to c8 is played. Pragos queen is attacked, and it's a very tricky position, but it's one that if Prago plays correctly, he has a completely winning position. So feel free to pause the video and win this game for Prago while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing that you can't just move your queen, otherwise bad things will happen. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is a rook 8 to e1. That's the good stuff here. Problem is, if you play something, let's say queen to d4, you want to play something like rook to d7 and get a winning position, it's very easy for black to activate the knight. Knight goes here, attacks the queen, and once the queen moves, we just play knight e5. And now we defend the d7 square, attack the bishop. All of a sudden, the knight, came from being doing nothing on a5 to being just a monster knight here on e5. So you have to be very careful. After rook to e1, it seems like you're just offering a queen trade, but that's really, the last thing you're doing, because if Anish accepts this, queen captures and rook captures, then how are you stopping rook d7? Once this rook comes to d7, it's a game over. There's no defending against this. So Anish can't play this. After rook to e1, he moves the queen back, queen to c7. Notice how we said that the queen might be a little bit better placed on c7, but now comes queen to a3. Again, it's rapid chess, so I will show how forcing queen captures on c7 is, because this is also winning. Rook captures, and now rook to d6. Just an incredibly powerful move, going after rook captures on f6, because if the rook captures, rook to e8 will be checkmate. We cannot forget again that this pawn is preventing the king from going to g7, and there's really no good move here. If you play f5, we just play bishop here. Now we don't allow even the king to come to g8, so the king is completely boxed in. And after you make a move, because you really don't have all that many squares for your knight, you can play knight b7 to maybe try and activate it. We still play rook f6. And that's it. Again, if you capture, you get checkmated. If you don't capture, you can play something like rook to d8 to go after the bishop. Now we just play rook f e6, and there's no defending this. Rook to e7 will be game over. If you go here, you go under the mask of the bishop, and, well, the only way to defend would be to control the back rank, but then you have to give up the knight, so this is just terrible. So that's one way to play it. Prago decided to play it differently. He played queen to a3, but this allows Anish to activate his knight. So knight to c4. Attacks the queen, queen to e7. Again, he offers a queen trade, because if the queens get traded off, then the rooks are just, very, very hungry pigs on the 7th rank. And here comes knight to e5. Rook to f7 was still holding the game. Prago would still be better, but rook to f7 should still hold. However, after knight to e5, with little time on the clock, Anish blunders the position completely. And I don't think you guys even need to pause the video here to figure out what happens next, but just for fun, feel free to pause the video and find the actual winning move for Prago while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing that we are just actually trying to grab control over the d7 square. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's rook e captures on e5, not rook d captures on e5. That would be a mistake, because now we gain control over the d7 square. Now, of course, if you just trade queens, we are up a full bishop, so that's out of the question. So the only thing you can do here is f captures on e5. This is what was played in the game, but now rook d7. We are threatening checkmate, so queen to c1 with check, And now, again, you don't want to play king h2 because then queen captures on h6 and you are in trouble. This comes with check. So bishop to d1, and here it's really hard to find a move. Queen captures on h6 was played. Okay, this prevents checkmate, but now queen captures on e5, and he was in this position on move 33 that Anish Giri resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So really wonderful game. The problem is that once King G8 is played, our good friend the bishop will have a final say on the matter. Bishop to b3 check, and now you just have to decide how many rooks you want to give before getting checkmated. Let's say rook c4 blocks, bishop captures with check, king f7. We're gonna play bishop captures on f7 with check, and once king f8 is played, queen to h8 or you know, somewhere will be checkmate. So yeah, really wonderful game. Praggu really did a nice one here. Then third game ended in a draw, and fourth game Anish won a brilliant game on demand, checkmating Praggu with the two knights. Also a game that we are probably going to cover, but after the event is over, as Anish is now out of the competition. Praggu is in the finals, and then in tie breaks, Praggu won the blitz section of the competition. Anish, it was a tricky position. Anish blundered a piece, and then he just resigned, and that was enough for Praggu to win the game. So really a tough match. 6 games is what it took for Praggu to beat Anish and get into the finals. And who he will meet in the finals? Well, it will be the winner of the match, Dingluren versus Magnus Carlsen. For those of you who still don't know who won, I will not spoil it in this one, as you will see, because that will be my next video that I'm publishing well, in maybe half an hour or maybe an hour. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Congratulations to Praggu on beating everyone up until this point. We'll see how he does in the finals. But regardless of the result, the games are incredibly interesting and super enjoyable to watch. So yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Salvatore Canu, and I would like to thank Robert Kiefer, Mark Manor, Nagarjuna Ponugoti, and Ballswing.cat for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the finals until the end of the tournament. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.